Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim's Special Edition. My name is Camel, and today we are going to delve into the random facts, hidden secrets, and obscure particulars of the game and run through 10 things that you didn't need to know about Skyrim, but you secretly totally need to know them. Timestamps can be found down in the description, along with links to my social media and to my other Skyrim Special Edition videos. Be sure to check all of that out. And if you do know of any interesting facts or secrets about Skyrim, be sure to let me know about them down in the comments. So let's start out with one that will leave you feeling sky high, as it's actually absolutely ridiculous. Now, there are a few places in the game in which we can see birds, eagles, hawks, whatever these things are flying around. For this example, we'll be in Solitude. They soar through the sky with such elegance and in great numbers. Don't you just wish that you could fly up there with them? Well, check this out. There are a few places where we can find their nests, and if you happen to find yourself in front of one of their nests, you'll see that every now and then they actually land in the nest before taking off once again. Well, your Uber has arrived, as you can actually jump onto the back of the bird, which has a massive clip box and hitbox, making them very easy to shoot out of the sky, but also making them very easy to stand on. I swear to the 9 divines, you can actually bird surf in Skyrim. Be careful though, as you will slowly slide off the bird. So a good thing to do is look down and make sure that you are centered on the bird's back. Keep that up and you'll have a free aerial tour of Solitude, or wherever you are that you manage to get onto a bird's back. Now, I tried to be cool and snipe some people with a bow while flying around on a bird, but honestly, it was so hard. Taking into account the target's movement speed and direction, and the bird's speed, direction, and elevation, times those factors with your aim and the angle, and it's just not going to happen. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you do pull this off. The only time I can imagine this actually being useful, at least in Solitude, is during the Dark Brotherhood quest, in which you have to assassinate Vittoria Vici, the Emperor's cousin. If you're on a bird, you'd be so far away from the victim, no one would suspect you, although they may be suspicious of a Khajiit riding on an eagle's back. There is also a massive danger with the use of a bow while riding on a bird, and that is the bird's massive hitbox. You can very easily, unintentionally kill the bird that you are riding on, ultimately falling to your death, killing 2 birds with one bird. So feel featherly free to give this a crack and see if you are skilled enough to surf a bird in Skyrim. Now, I'm sure we are all familiar with the Enigma, the immortal kitty cat, M'aiq the Liar. First seen in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, and then in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, then in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and even after that, he's also seen in the Elder Scrolls Online, which is set roughly 1,000 years before Skyrim. So this guy M'aiq, who knows if it's the same cat, who knows if it's a line of fathers naming their sons after themselves, but ever so rarely, while wandering through Skyrim, we'll run into him.
Some say Alduin is Akatosh, some say M'aiq is a liar. Don't you believe either of those things?
He'll say some random weird stuff, and that's about that. But did you ever wonder where he goes while he's not wandering around Skyrim saying strange things to strangers? Well, there is actually a cell we have to use console commands to get to, called Elsweyr. It's a small stone box, and this is where M'aiq lives when he's not in Skyrim. For anyone unaware, the name of this cell, Elsweyr, is the same name as the homeland of the Khajiit, the province, Elsweyr. So that's a fun little tidbit, or in this case, kitty bit, for you. Now, while we're on the topic of Khajiit, here is something pretty cool that I learned and I never knew happened. So we have a Khajiit just chilling with his ears up in a normal position, but if we spawn in an enemy, we'll see that the Khajiit's ears actually fold back during combat. Just like in real life, when a cat is entering fight mode, its ears fold back. Well, the Khajiit do the exact same thing, and as soon as combat has finished and all the dangers are gone, their ears will go back to a normal sitting position. And again, as soon as combat's ended, the ears will go back down. It's a super minor detail, but a really awesome one that makes the fearsome Khajiit more streamlined during combat. More streamlined and more feline. Ah yes, the College of Winterhold, a place we all know, and if you don't know it, you'll have to prove yourself to me before entering by conjuring one subscriber. So this college, it's a school of witchcraft and wizardry, and holds many interesting and in some cases dark, mysterious secrets, particularly in an underground and frozen labyrinth called the Midden, that can only be accessed by 2 trapdoors. And just like that old claymation show, don't you open that trapdoor because there's something down there, well, in fact there are many strange things down here, weird and unexplainable, one of which is the hidden gauntlet of the Pirate King of the Abyssian, Velexane. And if that sounds cool to you, I do have a full video exploring the awesome lore and story surrounding this item. But that's not why we are here. That's just an example of some of the very strange things that can be found down here in the Midden. So, as soon as we enter the Midden, we'll come out into this seemingly uninteresting room. If we look up, we will notice that there are some old wooden planks resting on crossbeams, creating a sort of loft area, the kind of place someone could store something. And we'll notice that there is actually a basket up here. You have 3 seconds to guess what's in the basket. Wrong, it contains 4 Moonstone ingots. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. Why are these here, in a basket, in a loft, in the Midden? Now that is a question that I feel is unanswerable. It is actually possible to shout the basket down to the floor so you can collect the Moonstone ingots. It took me 2 tries to get it down. Now Moonstone is quite rare, so why are there 4 Moonstone ingots in a basket in an inaccessible loft in the Midden, which is a place that pretty much no one ever goes? I mean, some people might be thinking, oh, it's safe storage because no one goes there, it's in a very hard to reach place. I mean, Moonstone ingots are rare, but you don't have to hide them in a super dangerous and deadly area like the Midden. It's just, there's too many questions. We'll just have to accept that they are down here for no discernible reason. And one more thing, the basket was quite full. I guess you could say it was full of moon. Alright, so let's move back a bit here, back near to the start of the game. We're going to be heading to Bleak Falls Barrow, pretty much the first dungeon we are sent into, so I'll guess that this dungeon is the dungeon that most players have been to, or the dungeon that pretty much every player of Skyrim ever is very familiar with. Now, while there are several cool things in here or about here, there is a little secret that you'll have the opportunity to spot if you come to Bleak Falls Barrow after hitting level 18. What am I talking about? Okay, in this cave area here, there will be a troll spawned only once the player character is level 18 or higher. So when most people come here at a low level, they never see the troll. Now when the troll spawns, some other things spawn in here as well. If we look up, we'll notice a rope hanging down, and that isn't there normally. And some way under the rope, there is a ledge, and on that ledge, we can spot a dead body. This guy is named Thomas. Now I do have a full video exploring this guy's story and trying to figure out who he was. Of course, feel free to check that out if you do want the full story and investigation into Thomas. But in short, he was a bandit and he was sent here to kill the troll and ultimately slipped and fell to his death. It's sad, but it's much better than the other Thomas of Skyrim. And while we are on the topic of Bleak Falls Barrow, let me teach you something else about it. So recently, with all of the hype and absolute certainty that Bethesda Game Studios will be announcing a new game at E3 this year, for anyone in the future it's 2018. But because of this, I was watching a video of Skyrim's first ever public playthrough or demonstration done by Todd Howard live at 2011's Quakecon. Now before we get into that video, in the release version of Skyrim, once we complete the dungeon Bleak Falls Barrow and we exit, we come out into Falkreath, where we can jump down and head back to Riverwood. But this isn't really that epic. However, it used to be epic, as we'll see in the demo video. Todd walks out of Bleak Falls Barrow and...
Now we're gonna head out the other side of the mountain we went into, Whiterun. And then you see the city of Whiterun way off in the distance.
It comes out into Whiterun, which I feel is much more stunning for first-time playthroughs and has much more of a wow factor. I mean, even listen to the crowd's reaction here. It's an absolutely epic introduction to Skyrim. So why did they change it? Well, I would imagine it's because of the damned Golden Claw quest. You have to bring it back to a guy in Riverwood, so they made the exit of Bleak Falls Barrow on the other side of the mountains, making it much easier for players to get back there to Riverwood and deliver the Golden Claw, completing the quest. I'll demonstrate it on the map here. So originally in this Quakecon demonstration, you start the quest in Riverwood, you go through Bleak Falls Barrow out into Whiterun, you then have to backtrack all the way back up the hill to Riverwood, then go back down on your way to Whiterun. But they changed it so that we go from Riverwood into Bleak Falls Barrow, back out into Falkreath, so on your way to Whiterun you can drop the claw off and complete the quest. So this does make sense that they changed it. However, I feel like it would have been easier to change some other things and keep that wow factor when you come out of the dungeon into Whiterun and you get the big vista and the giants and mammoths walking around. I honestly feel like they could have changed the quest just a bit and say you had to deliver the Golden Claw to a guy in Whiterun instead of the guy in the shop in Riverwood, because then they still could have kept that epic finish the first dungeon, come out into the stunning Whiterun and encounter mammoths and giants and dragons for the first time ever while being stunned by the panoramic view. It's just so much more epic than what we ended up with. But there's nothing we can do about it now. Ah yes, now I have an amendment to make from the last episode of 10 Things You Didn't Need to Know About Skyrim. I'm on the fence here. I incorrectly, / technically correctly said that Karliah was the only Dark Elf in Skyrim to not have red eyes. To recap quickly, the Kai'Ma had golden skin and golden eyes. They were cursed by Ozira to have ashen skin and red eyes. The Kai'Ma were then turned through this curse into the Dunmer, the Dark Elves. So all Dark Elves have grey skin and red eyes due to a curse. However, Karliah has purple eyes, which again, she's the only Dark Elf in Skyrim to have purple eyes, but she's only one of 3 Dark Elves in Skyrim to not have red eyes, as there are 2 Dunmer sisters who live at the Sarethi farm, namely Avrusa Sarethi and Orduri Sarethi. As we can see, neither of them have red eyes, but instead they have these opaque white eyes. So 2 things here. Technically, their eyes are not red. However, this does not seem to be their natural eye color, as it's not their irises that are white, but as we can see, there's no pupil, suggesting that this coloration is due to a disease and degeneration of the eye, like we see in real life. So unless these 2 sisters go against all of the rules, I would say that they had red eyes, or would have had red eyes, or perhaps even do still have red eyes, we just can't see it because they have this opaque degeneration of their eye over the top, making it this washed out pale eye coloration due to an outside source like a disease or illness, but not due to their genetics, giving them blank white eyes as a normal natural eye color. I do not believe they are blind, but I also believe they would have red eyes if their eyes were unaffected by whatever is doing this to them, as again, it's not a normal look. They do not have pupils. They are also sisters, which would bolster the theory that this eye condition is due to a disease passed down to them. Now, if they had normal eyes and they had a pupil and it was just their iris that was white, then yeah, I would happily say that they do not have red eyes. But this aesthetic is identical to those who have eye degeneration, so they aren't special. They don't have white eyes because they are special, they are just sick. Also, for those who commented on last video about Karliah's grandmother, Baranziah, having purple eyes, Baranziah did not have purple eyes. She had red eyes in Daggerfall, she had red eyes in Morrowind, and there is also no reference ever in any text or reference in any of the games to her eye color. And as I just mentioned, we see her twice in 2 different games, both of the times she has red eyes. So her grandmother, Queen Baranziah, does not explain why Karliah has purple eyes. But again, Karliah is in one sense technically one of 3 Dark Elves in Skyrim not to have red eyes, but he's also technically the only Dark Elf in Skyrim to have a natural eye color that isn't red, as I'm not willing to accept the Sarethi sisters and their blank, slate, opaque eyes as a natural eye color, but instead the result of a deformity. If I dyed my hair green, would you be able to say that humans have green hair now? No, it's the result of an outside force, just like these 2 ladies' eyes. Now, during the main questline of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, we'll be sent to a place called Skuldafn, where the dragon priest Nakrin stands guard, by the portal to Sovngarde. And speaking of portals, prepare to be sucked in by this one, as right before the end of the dungeon Skuldafn, there is a room to the right that seems to be of little to no interest. In here, there is a fireplace, and something is cooking, a delicious egg. If we clip through the fireplace, granting us a point of view we wouldn't normally be able to get, we'll see something strange tucked away behind the glowing embers. A potato, a boiled creme treat, and 5 pieces of charcoal have been placed in such a way that they might be ringing a bell. This collections of items have been mashed, pardon the potato pun, together to resemble Portal 2's character GLaDOS in her potato battery form. A sight that, well, no one can actually see normally, and a sight that no one expected to see. Fittingly, this can be found right before you exit to the portal to Sovngarde. Now, if these kind of ridiculous and mind-blowing Easter eggs are your kind of thing, be sure to check out my full Skyrim Easter egg video, shining light on over 100 awesome Easter eggs found in Skyrim just like this one. Now, as we explored in the last episode of 10 Things You Didn't Need to Know About Skyrim, we went beyond the boundaries of Skyrim and down into Cyrodiil, where we actually found the White Gold Tower. Now, there are 2 things I want to add to this. Firstly, the White Gold Tower was built by the Ayleid to mimic the Adamantine Tower on the Isle of Balfiera in High Rock. Now we can actually get to High Rock in Skyrim, the same way we can get to Cyrodiil. However, and this annoyed me greatly, the Adamantine Tower, which would have the exact same model as the White Gold Tower, isn't in Skyrim. It wasn't added in, but the White Gold Tower was. Again, they look identical. All you would have to do is place the already existing model where it should be. Now, I would guess that they didn't put it in, as there is no location within Skyrim from which one would be able to see the Adamantine Tower. Therefore, if no player is going to be able to see it, then why put it in the game? Well, that makes sense, but they put in the land where the tower would be, so why would they build the land if no one's going to see it? In fact, if anything, between the land and the tower, it's more likely someone would see the tower because it's super tall. So if anything, they should have put the tower in and not the land, but they did it the other way. Even though they already had the model made. All they had to do was place it. But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about, although I did want to get that off my chest because that annoyed me so much. But there is another tower. So while on Solstheim, added by the Dragonborn DLC, we can see Red Mountain. This is to be expected. It's just across the water, it's right there. No problem. However, in the base game of Skyrim, we can, once again, explore beyond Skyrim's boundaries and actually find Red Mountain on the island of Vvardenfell, Morrowind. Again, I'm not sure if one is able to actually see it from any place in Skyrim, but you might be thinking, well, a mountain isn't that cool. There are plenty of hills and stuff like that that have been modeled. Why are you pointing this one out? A sincere question that deserves a courteous response. Red Mountain isn't just the mountain, but it is actually one of the towers of Tamriel. It's known as the Red Tower, also Dagoth Mount Vvardenfell, and Sakrostrunma in Dovazul, the Dragon Tongue. So there are all of the towers that would be and can be found beyond the boundaries of Skyrim in the game The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. And finally, let's move on to a hot topic. Flames, the spell. One I'm certain everyone is familiar with. In fact, it's even the very first spell you can get, as you can find a copy of the spellbook in the Helgen Keep torture dungeon. My point being, out of all the spells in the game, Flames is most certainly the spell that has been exposed to most players. But did you know that there is actually a secret little mechanic you can do with Flames? No? Well, be prepared to have your interests ignited. So if we equip the spell Flames and pull our hands out of our pockets, while we stand idly, we can see the embers flow from our hands. And the flame spell is ready to go. But the size of the idle flames isn't too impressive. Well, check this out. If one lightly taps the attack trigger or triggers, the size of the idle flame will actually double, perhaps even triple. It might take a few goes to get it, but it does happen. As you can see, the idol of flames is now shooting almost off the screen. We've literally tapped into the firepower of the spell. Now this will not affect the flame spell in any other way. It won't shoot further, it won't shoot faster, it won't do more damage, but this obvious and stark increase in flame size during idle animation might make you look cooler, which is the complete opposite of what will happen to your hands. Now I can confirm this doesn't work with any other spell, most notably Sparks and Frost. Now this is something that is unique to the spell Flames, and for a clear comparison, in one hand I have the standard idle flame, and in the other hand I have the secret lightly tapped triple flame idle. It's so much flashier and great if you want to look like a badass or take some cool screenshots. And who knew that after all of this time an awesome touch like this was hiding in a spell we've all had since day one of Skyrim? It was there the whole time, right under our noses, singeing our nostril hairs. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Camel. I do hope you have enjoyed the video and learned something new about the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim and all of the crazy things that can be found within it. Of course, if you know of any other cool secret little bits of trivia like this in Skyrim, be sure to let myself know down in the comments and I'll make another one of these videos. And if you're into this kind of stuff, be sure to check out my Skyrim Special Edition videos. All of that can be found down in the description. Now down there in the old description, you can also find links to my social media. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And if you would like to support the channel in a more personal way, you can become a heroic patron on Patreon. As I'm sure you know, all of my time and energy goes into making these videos that I create for you to enjoy, so your support is most appreciated and welcomed in any and all forms. So thank you very much for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and I will see you very shortly in the next video. I'll see you there soon.